Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. If you're new around here, these are our daily episodes where we talk about what happened today in our little VW Restoration shop. So with that, why don't we go ahead and jump right in here. So let's talk about this beauty first. Today, again, pretty much Rafa and Santiago were working on this beauty here, and let me go ahead and show you some more of the upholstery here that Santiago has been working on. So pretty much finished the vinyl and the carpet in the back here. You can just see all the off-white vinyl here in this back area under the back seat, and then the carpet, of course, all done back here. Never mind the white, it's just chalk that he uses that'll come off later. But yeah, I'm very happy with how this is coming out. And again, the door panels and the seats are done for this car. So, and of course the headliner he did last week, I think. Anyway, and this tray in the back here, likewise, same off-white vinyl. Guys, I'm really sorry about all the sniffles here. This cold is killing me. Anyway. Yeah, and so then he's been working on the carpet up front. So you can see these pieces up here aren't done yet. They don't have the binding on the edges, but basically he marks them all up and kind of like temporarily glues them in just with like a little bit of glue, and then marks them, cuts them, etc. And then in this case for Ghias, they have some pads here to protect the carpeting from the driver's foot, and then there's another piece that'll go over here and so on. Anyway, yeah, all that stuff's kind of figured out. So we don't use kits. We pretty much make all these by hand. And even when we have patterns, which we actually don't for these Carmen Ghias, even when we have patterns, we still pretty much fit each and every piece to each and every car, because every car is just a wee bit different. And so the only way to get perfection really is to pretty much make each piece for every car, and so no exception here. But anyway, yeah, so the binding and stuff, which again is the material that you see on the edges here, that'll all go in once these are finally trimmed to shape and these are sewn in and so on and so forth. So yeah, coming right along. And then of course there's a rubber firewall mat that goes right there, just like on a Beetle. In fact, it's actually the same one that is used on a Beetle. That area is identical between Ghias and Beetles right there, at least. So yeah, that was Santiago's day. Rafa continued working on different odds and ends here. Again, sorry about sniffling. Working on the release here for the deck lid. He made a new cable for it here, and then routed the housing for the cable. And you can see he used the original knob and then soldered a new wire onto it, so you can see the knob right there. And trying to think what else Rafa did. Oh, he spent some more time up here doing some plumbing, so to speak, here on the brake. So you can see we had the original hard reservoir hoses, zinc plated, and then those are all installed here with new hoses, of course, and so on. So yeah, Rafa working on some details like that. And so there you guys go. I think there's probably some other things that Rafa did, but my head is a bit cloudy with this cold. So, oh, well, here's one. Is putting in the rear engine sound deadening material here. So that's something that we also make here. And yeah, so mostly Rafa is kind of working back here on these things. So there you go. All right, so how about me? Again, sorry about all the sniffling. So this motor is now in. If you saw yesterday's episode, you know I was kind of struggling with that heater box on this side fitting past the body. And turns out on closer examination that these heater boxes are actually off like a later 36 horse, like maybe a 59 or something like that. And apparently they're a little bit fatter, more bulbous, whatever you want to call it, on top. So we're talking about, if you can see, kind of this area up here, a little fatter, and so doesn't really like to go past the body. In fact, you can see there pretty much where it would have been hitting the body. And so pretty much what we did was we just got a big screwdriver and kind of like gently pried on the top of the heater box while we pushed on the engine, and that was enough to kind of pop it past the sheet metal there. And then once it was past that, boom, it just is like home free from that point. So yeah, a little bit later, heater box is on here and caused a little bit of an interference issue. But anyway, so yeah, once we kind of popped those past the body there, they went right in. And so that was that. So other than that, I pretty much finished assembling the motor. Of course, I had taken off the distributor, the generator pulley, and I didn't have the air cleaner on it and stuff like that. And then the other thing was this tin here for the doghouse cooling system, which again is not normally on a 36 horse, but somebody at some point in this car's life had upgraded it to a doghouse style cooler. But this lower tin piece here, the one that goes through the front tin, was actually also interfering with the body up in here. And so I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this or not, but basically I just trimmed it off. I don't think you're gonna, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but pretty much I just trimmed it off a little ways past the front. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna show, sorry guys. I just trimmed it a little bit past the front engine tin. So the tin that goes across the motor there on the front, that thing, that snorkel as I like to call it, sticks out maybe that far past it, and then it just stops, because when you go a little bit further than that, you've got the sheet metal of the body there where the engine to body seal is in there, and it was interfering with that, which I thought would be the case. But again, I wanted to kind of test fit it, so pulled that out and trimmed it some and reshaped it a little bit, and then that pretty much went right in. And then ended up taking both of those piece of doghouse tins out just to get that nut on. I think I mentioned that nut was going to be hard the other day, so I ended up pretty much taking both those out, which is really kind of a pain in the butt, but that was really the only practical way to get at the top engine nut on this side. So got that in, tightened up all four engine to transmission pieces of hardware nuts, and that's it. So that is now officially in there. I adjusted the clutch. I hooked up the fuel line up underneath the transmission, or by the transmission over there. The Bowden tube actually seemed like it had a bit too much of a bow in it. So if you remember when this car first came in, it had a terrible shudder, especially like easing the clutch out in reverse. And the Bowden tube had no bow in it at all. It was basically a straight line, which would cause that type of shuddering. So I had put shims in it before when I replaced the transmission mounts up underneath there, but it seemed like I might have put a few too many in. The Bowden tube had, I guess, too much of a bow in it, no pun intended. And it was actually making the clutch action feel a little bit stiff because the cable was having to go through a pretty drastic bend. So I took a few of those shims out. Bowden tube still seems to have plenty of arch in it, and clutch is operating nice and smooth now, and also shot some grease down in the tube to just kind of help things move along. So anyway, yeah, clutch feels good now. We'll see when we drive it if it needs any adjusting, but at least sort of like bench testing it, it feels fine. So yeah, I pretty much worked most all day on this. Got the engine wired up here to the generator and the coil and the idiot light and so on. And yeah, I think that this motor is probably ready to start. But at some point, I just got kind of fatigued working on it and decided to work on something else for a while, especially because I was struggling a lot with that doghouse tin and stuff like that. So at some point, I just got kind of tired of working on this car. No offense to this car or its owner, of course, but I was just kind of over it by the time I got all that stuff in and wanted to work on something else. And so anyway, around the time I was finishing that up, this came in. So you can pretty much ignore all this dirty tin and stuff on here. But this, if you haven't figured it out yet, is the 1699cc 40 horse, which is actually for this car. So just got this in from Brothers today. Again, just a long block. So this is the original tin off this motor, and I'm just like test fitting everything before I start sending stuff to powder coating. But you can kind of see the engine there. Looks appropriately beautiful and brand new looking. We did end up full flowing it. And so again, this motor is an 85.5 millimeter bore, so basically 1600 pistons. And then it's got a counterweighted 74 millimeter crank. So that makes it a 1699 cc. Pretty much it's a 1700 or 1.7 liter, whatever you want to call it. And then we upgraded from the 40 horse heads. We went ahead and are using single port 1600 heads. So you can see there the ports are quite a bit bigger than a 40 horse. And the real reason that I did it is that it's much easier to find some dual carbs for these heads than it is for 40 horse, and they flow a lot better. So kind of a no-brainer. But again, this is the original numbers matching engine case to this car, which of course would have come with a 40 horse. That's the original case to this car. So we basically hot rodded it. It has cam bearings now. We did the Hoover oiling mod on it to get better oiling on that side of the case. And again, stroker, bigger pistons, et cetera, compression, mild cam, single high rev springs, et cetera. So yeah, it should be a pretty stout little motor for this car. Definitely going to be way more power than this car came with. With the single port heads, it's going to be more air on the side of torquey than outright like horsepower, but I'm sure it'll probably be maybe close to twice what this thing came with. Maybe 80 horsepower. That may be a little bit optimistic, but the torque for sure on this thing is going to be incredible with these very torquey single port heads and, the cam, the compression, et cetera. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the muffler yet on it. Might go with a vintage speed one with the dual pea shooter style. I'm not sure. Carburetors, though, I believe I found a pair of single port Cadron intake manifolds. So that is really what I wanted to do on here as far as going with like an old school or old speed type setup on here. So again, the tin is just all on here for test fitting. This is all the original tin for this motor, except this I'm going to replace because we're not going to be using the preheat tubes and we don't need that. So this will be a new piece of sheet metal with basically just the two heater holes in it there. And then the other thing I had to replace was the cylinder tins themselves, because again, these are later single port heads off like say a 1600 single port or whatever. And so these, I managed to get a pair of nice ones from Brian Roth over at Roth Vintage. So pretty much those, and then all original tin, again, with the other exception of this piece right here. And everything seems to be fitting good. Heater boxes are in really nice shape. So obviously all this stuff, it's going to get powder coated, et cetera. I'll restore this beauty here, the 6-volt generator. And yeah, we'll do some other cool old speed touches on here. We do have a very cool distributor, which I would love to use on here, but I don't know that the cap for it is available. This is actually a very old Mallory distributor. They're made by Mallory and sold by under a couple different names for these motors back in the day, maybe like in the 70s. It's got dual points, which is kind of cool, but Unfortunately, the cap on it is, you probably can't see it, but the cap is kind of broken on it. You can practically like stick my finger in this hole over here. So probably won't be using that, but I really wanted to stick it on there and see how it looked. So there it is. In reality, probably won't run that. Probably run a cast iron 019, which is kind of would have been an appropriate hop up for this motor back in the day. So we'll see. Yeah, plenty of fun to be had with this one as far as hot rodding it and choices that we make for different things that are going to kind of define its look and how it runs. So yeah, that was how I kind of spent the last part of my day, is this. So hopefully tomorrow I'll get the other piece of tin here that I need, and then all this stuff can go to powder coating. And then while that's happening, I can restore their original fuel pump, the generator, and so on, and then get this puppy together. So anyway, guys, that is it for today. Thank you all for watching. Sorry for all the sniffling and me being more nasally than usual. So thanks again, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.